Hello, everybody, and fellow Reds. Welcome to The Room, the podcast brought to you by LFC Transfer Room. I'm one of your co-hosts today, Richie, and our regular co-host, Daz O'Connor, can't be with us today due to family-related reasons, but we can't wait to see him and hear him back in action next week. Before we begin here at The Room, and indeed all of Liverpool Football Club and LFC Transfer Room, we would like to send our very best wishes to Christian Eriksen towards his family and his loved ones and the whole of the Danish national team. Here's to a swift recovery, and we hope to see Christian Eriksen out of hospital very soon, and our thoughts are with you. I'm joined today then by YouTube sensation Matty and a very special guest, one of the LFC Transfer Room owners, Dan. And we'll be taking you through all things transfer related to football and to Liverpool Football Club especially. Dan, the owner and the boss. Matty and I promise to be on our best behaviour for the duration, but it is wonderful to have you on. How are you, my brother?
How's it going, guys? I think this is the first time that we're actually, all three of us are doing something live, so it's actually very exciting. Thank you for having me on.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Matty, how are things? Enjoying the Euros?
Yeah, things are boss. Just got engaged, which is quite quite good. And yeah, the Euros are decent. Up to Scotland for me, though, not England.
Well, congratulations on the engagement, but we'll just discard your last statement there, especially as England boss Croatia today as well. But congratulations, mate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Moving forwards, we have, as always, an informative and brimful transfer-related podcast for you all. And to start us off, let's begin with the quick transfer update. Matt, take us away.
Well, Xherdan Shaqiri is likely to leave Liverpool this summer. The source is Core Sport. He's only played 22 games in all competitions for Liverpool this season. And in the last 13 league games, he was left on the bench for 10 of them, which to me shows that he's surplus to requirements.
Second source comes directly from Liverpool Football Club, and that is that youngster Adam Lewis joins Livingston on a season-long loan. Liverpool have agreed a season-long loan with Livingston for the highly rated left-back Adam Lewis for next season. Livingston finished 6th in the Scottish Premiership, and Lewis will join up with David Martinell, who took Livingston to a League Cup final last season.
And another source of team talk, Liverpool are meant to be announcing the signing of Patson Daka this week. He's the man we've been discussing for weeks now. Richie absolutely loves him. Liverpool have apparently offered the Zambian striker a 4-year deal that he's accepted, and it's going to be about £25 million. In my opinion, it'd be an absolute steal. The reliability of the source is questionable, but for those who know Patson Daka, we live in hope.
Yeah, and this next one comes from Ralph Hasenhüttl, and it's regarding Taki Minamino, who's obviously on loan at Southampton next season. The Austrian actually said that we have had talks with Liverpool. We're not sure what will happen with him, as in Minamino, because Southampton do want to bring him back. Liverpool may make some changes and make some things happen in the transfer market, and it's clear that Hasenhüttl wants him to stay. However, it's more likely that he will be sold rather than loaned out again. So it's basically down to Liverpool and their stance on Minamino.
For more information and details on the stories, also please do check out our website, as there is this and much, much more over at LFCTransferroom.com.
Absolutely. Dan, any rumours there that take your fancy?
From the ones that we've heard, I mean, I wish the Patson Daka was true, but I mean, I was going over the source of the Zambian outlet that supposedly claims that he's being announced this week, and they source the Echo. And when I go to the Echo doesn't really say anything. So it's just like a back and forth type of thing. I think the Echo even went as far as making an article, in their rumor mill, just including them basically saying that they are claiming the news. So it's just going back and forth. So I don't think that one really is going to happen. I mean, but if it does, I mean, just imagine. Other than that, I mean, I'm very surprised that we sent Adam Lewis back on loan, especially considering that I think he needs time under club, and Tsimikas hasn't really kicked on, so that really doesn't really make me happy. But I also heard that Larousse is getting his contract extension, or the offer. Hopefully he takes it because he has huge potential. What do you guys think?
I agree with the Adam Lewis news. I think if I was going to loan him out, I would have liked to have seen him go to Blackpool or maybe Rangers to work under people who will probably play in a very similar system to what Liverpool would play. To go to Livingston, I can't say I've seen much of them, but I can't imagine them to play similar football to us. So it seems it's more like a step back, in my opinion, because the Scottish League's only really Rangers and Celtic, and everyone else isn't the best standard. So for me, I don't think it's beneficial going to Livingston on loan.
Yeah. Plus, if you have Steven Gerrard already in Rangers, like start using him. Use the connection. Start sending your youngsters there. I know we already did it with Ojo and Kent.
Ryan Kent. Look what he's done to Ryan Kent as well.
Like, oh my God, man. But like, why send them to one of those like mid-table sides? I don't know. I mean, I think we have to start sending them to top clubs because clearly our loans are not working with our players. There's something going on. I don't know if it's because we have lack of offers, but I really doubt that we have lack of offers for our youngsters. But we need to start sending them to better sides where they can actually get game time and improve.
I think with Patson Daka as well, it was released earlier that Leicester City are also in for him, which is a bit of an odd one. Not to talk about Leicester's transfer dealings too much, but it looks also that they are actually signing someone in the Scottish League, Odsonne Edouard from Celtic. So I don't know whether that might be a smokescreen Daka, maybe to lower the fee perhaps for Edouard, but it looks like Daka is certainly linked with a couple of teams. We obviously already know Leipzig and Liverpool, but Chelsea and Leicester have also joined the front. We mentioned West Ham last week too, so it looks like he's certainly off. And Matty's spot on. Yeah, I think Patson Daka would really tear it up at Liverpool and under Klopp especially.
In the last episode that we did, I think you were mentioning that the Zambian coach was letting him sort his future out. So clearly something's going on. So I'm pretty sure within the next few weeks we're going to know where his new team is going to be. Well, I don't know if West Ham is going to be involved in the whole situation, but hopefully, I mean, I just want to see him in the Premier League because whether he goes to Liverpool or not, I want to see if all this hype and all these goals that you score in the Austrian league, you can actually move it to the highest competition in the world. So
for me, I can't see past them going to Leipzig with Jesse Marsch going there as well. It just seems like the natural transition because they're in a bit of a rebuild at the minute. Leipzig, aren't they? They've lost with Moncano, Canate. They've lost the manager. I think he'll go. Speaking of Leicester, I think that's a good fit for him. If he doesn't come to Liverpool, like Brendan Rodgers could spot a good player off. We know that ourselves, but I think Leicester would be a good fit for him. Like I wouldn't rule that out.
No, especially as well when you consider like Chelsea are obviously in for Haaland, and he wouldn't necessarily. Well, he wouldn't suit David Moyes and West Ham either. I'm in your camp as well, Matty, as we said last week. I think Daka goes to Leipzig. It depends how far back you read into the reports. Apparently in March he had a verbal agreement with Leipzig as well. So, we'll see, but you never know. He might want to make that jump into the elite right now. I think it helps that obviously Leipzig got Champions League football as well.
They need to. They still haven't found a Timo Werner replacement, and the problem really with Leipzig is that they currently have an overhaul or a surplus of strikers, whether they're good or not. Clearly, they're not good because they still haven't replaced Timo Werner, but they have too many. So I think they need to get rid of a few before they start getting some in. I know they have this name Sorloth, I think it is.
That's it. Yeah.
We also have I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't know. It was I don't know if it's like a Korean or a Japanese player that recently joined them as well. That Liverpool were really interested in him. That's another one.
He's the Japanese one, and who played against us when he was at Salzburg.
That one, and supposedly that we wanted him as well. They have Poulsen, and then obviously they've been trying to put Nkunku as a striker sometimes. And I mean, it's just like you have all these players. That's already like 4 or more strikers. They need to get rid of a few before they start bringing some in.
Maybe that's why it is taking a while. Maybe they have to offload players first. Maybe he has got an agreement, and that's maybe why. Same for us, really. I think Liverpool, why people are getting quite frustrated. You read the reports that we're focusing on contract talks, and I think that's why we haven't done anything since Canate. Because we're waiting on these contract talks and see maybe what's left in the budget. So perhaps that's why as well we're not hearing from anything really, apart from, strangely enough, which did actually come out yesterday. A lot of our old friend of the podcast, Florian Neuhaus, is rumoured that Liverpool are interested in him, and this is from various sources. It was so strange that the media caught hold of this because in the past, Liverpool's transfer dealings, the media don't really catch hold of too much. But this was reported on the Echo, it was reported in the Guardian, the Mirror, and it was essentially saying that Liverpool are interested in Florian Neuhaus and they might make a bid for him after the Euros. From today as well, that more reports have come out saying that initial inquiries and initial contacts have been made with Neuhaus, but not a bid. And that's obviously, that's essentially what every club does. You don't really bid until you've agreed terms. As we know with the Jadon Sancho fiasco, it's not necessarily a problem agreeing terms. It's a problem trying to agree a fee. Florian Neuhaus rumours are out again. Discussions, lads. Anything that you'd like to add about Neuhaus? Anything that you'd like to put in?
I think it's a smokescreen for Tielemans.
I think he's a smoke screen too, but let's explore what he could bring. I personally think that too.
I wish that was the reason, but I just don't see us getting Tielemans at all. Like, have you seen his contract length? I think he has 3 or 4 years left. I think Leicester bought him for what? I don't know how much, but he's definitely going to cost more than 50, 60 million.
I think they got him for quite a steal, to be honest. I remember them getting him.
They had him on loan first, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, how Leicester make their deals. They sold Chilwell for like 60, 70 million. I mean, they're not going to sell what's they're currently probably one of their best player. They're not going to sell him for 40, 30.
I think a lot will depend on Tielemans as well. Leicester missed out on Champions League football. He could very easily force a move. He has no loyalties or ties to Leicester. And if a club like Liverpool, who can offer Champions League football, come knocking, I still think he'll cost a lot. I still think it'll be between 50, 60 million. I don't think that Liverpool have that money. Not for one player, maybe for a couple of players they do, but not for one. But, with the Neuhaus, it's just so strange that everything and everybody almost were briefed about this because Liverpool don't do that. We've seen with Fabinho, we've seen it with Jota. If Liverpool have their way, they don't leak anything unless it would be similar to the Jamal Lewis, which happened last season. And obviously that was a smokescreen for the Simicas. So, looking at Neuhaus, I really like him. I've liked him all season, really. I came to know him when football restarted after Project Restart, and it was the Bundesliga that, got up and running first. And Mönchengladbach were really, really good to watch. He has been playing in a deeper role as almost like a deep line playmaker in a double pivot this season. He has, however, played as a 10 and more advanced, and he's just got so much skill and guile when he just goes past players seamlessly. He's almost like resistant to the press. You can't press him. He reminds me a little bit of Thiago. Where someone would go and close down Thiago and he would just bypass them. You can't press Thiago. And he reminds me when he's on the ball of that type of player.
How much are we talking for?
35 million at least. A few reports say 40 million euros, 35 million pounds.
He has no release clause.
So, I mean, there's a few contradicting reports about the release clause. Yesterday, Sport 1 were saying that he has no release clause, that it expired. And then I don't know who was it that I was going over the reports. I think it was The Guardian that came out saying that he has a release clause and that it was 35 million. I mean, regardless of what it is, 35 million, for even 40, I think is actually a really good deal for a player of that caliber. I started watching Borussia and the Bundesliga play, but for some reason, the player that sticks out the most is Stindl. Every time I watch him play, Stindl, their number 10, he's like 32 years old. And then I just cannot focus on Neuhaus as much. But he's one of those type of players. Like when you watch Liverpool, Gini or Henderson don't really like shine, and they're not really the most shiny players, but they're the most hardworking ones. And I think that's one of the players that we get with Neuhaus. The thing is that it's all these reliable reporters are claiming that the talks have already started. Today we posted on the LFC transfer room Twitter that Sky Sports Germany confirmed as well Liverpool's approach. And I found some quotes from Neuhaus. I think they were that he doesn't have to go to Bayern because everybody thinks that he's going to Bayern Munich. He's like, I'm willing to explore something else. I'm willing to go out. I'm like, just because I'm in the Bundesliga doesn't mean I have to go to Bayern Munich. So him just claiming that, I mean, just gets me excited because he acknowledges that he knows this whole crazy thing about players in the Bundesliga going to Bayern Munich. So I feel like he would like to try something new. But is it Liverpool? We don't know yet.
They
haven't got
Bayern
Champions League either, have they?
No, they missed out, didn't they? One of the last days, I think.
They have European. They have Europa, right? Or no?
Yeah. I think also Bayern can't afford him this summer. I think with they paid 25 million for their manager, which is bizarre. But and Upamecano obviously went as well. But no, they can't afford him this year. So whether they're doing a deal, they could always do a deal in principle with Mönchengladbach and say, actually, you have him for one more year, which is obviously going to benefit them, and we'll have him next year. And they might very well just do that. So, I mean,
haven't they already done that though, Bayern Munich? I'm sure I've seen that they've got an agreement with not officially, but they've got an agreement with someone to join at the end of next season who plays in the Bundesliga. I can't think who it was though.
I mean, let's be honest. If anyone is half decent in the Bundesliga, they're most likely Bayern bound. So
that's why it's mad about Canate, isn't it? Because Canate is the better centre back, and he didn't go to Bayern.
No. I suppose Neuhaus is German. Maybe like he's always grown up knowing that Bayern's the biggest club. Perhaps
that is true. When we spoke to Christian Falk in the podcast many months ago, I remember that he told us that German players, they grow up with this mentality thinking Bayern Munich is like the best club in the world and the best club in Germany, and that is your goal. As soon as you go and become a professional football player, all these German players think, I need to end up in Bayern Munich. That's the highest ceiling of their career. They're not thinking, I want to go to Barcelona. They're not thinking, I want to go to Real Madrid, Liverpool, Man City, whatever. They're thinking, like, if I want to make my family proud, or if I want just my career to get to the highest level, I need to end up at Bayern Munich. And that's the only issue that we have really with German players. Like Sule went there despite Liverpool and all these players wanting him. Leroy Sané came to the Premier League and ended up again at Bayern Munich, regardless of trying things out. Upamecano and all these guys. I mean, they just keep wanting to go to Bayern Munich. So it's just something that's really hard to fight against. But hopefully, Florian Neuhaus is not one of those because he looks like a really good prospect.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I really noticed that he never seems to switch off. He's always alert to everything. And in Klopp's system, that has to happened. Like that has to happen. You can't switch off with that level of pressing. And he is a really, really good presser. He's also like press resilient. He's an excellent dribbler under pressure. His positional and spatial awareness is fantastic. If I'm honest, he just knows where everybody else is on the pitch. It seems. So yeah, I hope it's not a smokescreen if it is for the 35 million, because he's 24 years old. If we could tie him down to the best year, is knowing that he's versatile, he can play in that deep line playmaker role in a double pivot, or where I personally think he's best at in a 4-3-3. So he can go out and roam and he can find those advanced positions. He can bang as well. This boy, he's got a shot on him. And Liverpool have missed goals from midfield this season, especially. So for me, if we're going to sign a midfielder, we've been linked to a lot of midfielders, but Florian Neuhaus does look quite impressive, if I'm honest.
He's really a combination of all the players of every single trait that every player has into one. I mean, he has the dribbling ability, to shoot out of the box and with a really strong foot. He has that vision, the passing range, the pressing. I don't know if we were looking at his stats last time, but his pressing is really good. And especially in his side, most of the players are used to this pressing. So he has all these traits combined that it just fits perfectly for Liverpool. And whether we get him or not, I think we need to get a player similar to his mold, that has the vision, that has this pressing, and he's very flexible. Rodrigo De Paul is probably the closest thing to him outside available in the market. So we just need that type of player currently. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, every player's got weak points, I suppose, apart from Mo Salah or Alisson Becker or Virgil van Dijk or Jordan Henderson. But anyway, he's not explosive, Neuhaus, but he doesn't have to be, because he has that spatial awareness. it's not an issue for Liverpool's setup either, having to have the ball and be explosive and run at players necessarily, because you have, you know, the wing backs for that, you have the wingers for that. You know, Thiago goes past players that aren't. It's almost like they're not there. Same as Naby Keita when he plays. So, you know, for that weakness for Neuhaus, it's not really a weakness for Liverpool.
Do you not think Liverpool need a more explosive midfielder though? We've got none, really.
As in running from midfield.
Yeah, someone who can make stuff happen. The only person I can think of in that Liverpool midfield who can make stuff happen, isn't afraid to have a shot outside the box, is the Ox.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But with that, when I say he's not explosive, what I mean by that is, like, he won't receive the ball under pressure and think he has to go past someone, because he'll 9 times out of 10 be in space anyway. And if he's not, he'll find that space to have a shot from outside the box. But I agree completely. I absolutely agree. Yeah, I mean, when Ox had his best season and he tore Man City apart, that was what Liverpool missed when Coutinho. Yeah, and that's what we need, because we haven't had that since Coutinho. And, you know, when Ox did play in that role, we haven't had it since. Keita was supposed to bring that, but obviously, you know, his fitness is an issue.
And Xherdan Shaqiri also, he plays as a number 10, and I don't know what happened to Shaqiri. I mean, every time I used to watch him at Stoke City, he had that trait. He was explosive. He would dribble past players, and with time, I don't know if it's because of the age or because he joined us, he doesn't have that ability anymore. And I watch him in the Euros as well, and I was watching with my father, and I was telling him, because my dad loves football, but he doesn't watch it as often, so I was like, just look at Shaqiri, like, this guy, like, he's awesome, and he wasn't really doing anything, and I was disappointed. I was like, what happened to the Shaqiri that was at Stoke City? Like, he was really explosive, he was awesome, and like now he's just like very, very basic type of winger, you know.
I think with Shaqiri, it's his attitude. I remember Peter Crouch saying something about him once, on something about his attitude and training. Because he's the big I am in Switzerland and he's not that at club level, I think that lets him down. I think if he didn't have that attitude, he'd be a phenomenal player.
And it has to be the same, because at Stoke City it was him. It was Shaqiri's Stoke City, you know?
Yeah.
If you watch Stoke City, it's because of Shaqiri. And he had, like, everything was just around him. Same in Switzerland, and now at Liverpool he's a bench player, if at most, you know. So I guess his morale goes down, and he's the type of player that needs to be the center of attention. But yeah, let's move on before we keep talking for 30 minutes about Shaqiri and the rest.
So yeah, our second main transfer story really was one I think that might play a part in the Marco Grujic sale, and that is a young lad called Fabio Vieira. He won Best Player in the Under-21 European Championship, where his Portuguese side came second. And the source is obviously quite reliable, if I'm honest, purely because it's coming from his agent, the Portuguese journalist Bruno Andrade. And essentially it just says that whilst Liverpool are not in the market for a Gini Wijnaldum replacement, and that forward is higher up, they are extremely interested. And I think maybe because he has an 8 million price tag on Fabio Vieira. Now, I wrote an article actually on Fabio Vieira because, aside from watching, I think, 2 games in the European Championships, and that was the final and the semi-final, I'd never seen him play before. Very rarely does he play for Porto. He's only had 3 starts. But, you know, this was his breakout year. He is one of those players where he's done quite a lot already. He's won the Portuguese Premier League. He obviously came runners-up in the European Championship a few weeks ago. But over the past 3 seasons, he's always been in the UEFA Under-19s or Under-21s Championship team of the tournament. So that's 3 years in a row. So, you know, he's a playmaker. I don't think he would be a player that Liverpool would instantly go in for, and I don't think he'd be one to start. But he would certainly be one for the future, and maybe one to make a little bit of leeway for Grujic, because we know that Liverpool want cash. Maybe they would accept, a 21-year-old Fabio Vieira plus a little bit of cash for the sale of Marco Grujic, and it wouldn't really be a bad gamble. It is quite a low risk with someone who has quite a high ceiling.
Absolutely. I mean, especially considering the fact that he's not a regular player for Porto, and Porto currently are looking for a regular starter with Marco Grujic because they're about to lose. I think his name is Oliveira, one of their midfielders. So they're going to need to replace him. So they need a starter, and why not just load off this player that is just sitting on your bench most of the time. One thing though to not get confused about is his ability, because a lot of people in the comments on our social platforms were saying, "Oh, we really want a player that has barely started 2 times for Porto." And it's true. I think he just started like 2 games or 1 game, but he's played 3. But he's played 33 games in total for Porto. At 21 years old, to already be involved 33 times at a top club. I mean, I just think is because he has a bright future and they really trust him. So, but like I said, this deal really seems possible, mainly because his release clause is 30 million euros. Supposedly, they're willing to take 20 million euros, which is like 17 million pounds. Liverpool won for Marco Grujic 17 million. So I mean, it just makes perfect sense. Just swap deal. They get a starter, we get a potential player that can evolve in a couple of years and be fantastic in the midfield. It has to happen, and a lot of reliable sources have confirmed this, which is CM Journal, which just has a lot of contacts on Portugal, as well as, like you said, the EOL Sport reporter Bruno Andrade. He's also really reliable. And we just posted also a recent report saying that Marco Grujic has his head set on a move to Porto. So if he's going to go somewhere, it looks like that's the team. It's just a matter of Liverpool going to take their bit, because Porto doesn't seem to want to spend so much money. So hopefully they get the player involved on Fabio Vieira.
I think my only worry is, if he's that good, why is Wolves not snapped them up, given their links to Portugal? Because they snapped up that striker who's meant to
Fabio
have
Silva.
he's meant to have a really high potential. Yeah. So if this lad's got a lot of potential, why is Wolves Portugal contacts not dragging them towards him?
Well, I know that Wolves have basically got to raise funds. I mean, again, stories and rumours. Ruben Neves and Traore are supposedly leaving because they need the funds. So perhaps they will, but they need to raise the funds first. Vieira's current contract expires next summer as well. So whilst Porto are trying to tie him down to a new deal, nothing has been signed yet. So maybe, again, he could be waiting for a Premier League move, to Wolves, or if Nuno is, as he is expected, going to land the Everton job, maybe Nuno could pull him to Merseyside but for the blue half, and obviously we wouldn't want that. So yeah, I agree. I think if there is something there, then other clubs will soon be circling, especially knowing that he's out of contract next summer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Dan, we've been linked to every Tom, Dick, and Harry in this transfer window so far. So, obviously, you read a lot of our articles, you edit quite a few of them, and you must have seen every single rumour from every single source. Is there one of them that stood out to you since the beginning of the window? Obviously, we've got our main man, Ibrahima Konate. Is there anyone else that you think actually this rumour A has legs, or B, actually I just really want this player, even if this rumour is not the most reliable?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give you a couple. One of them is from January. That it looks like we're not gonna really pull it off anymore because we got Konate, and then I'll give you one also for this current transfer market. But the main one that actually hurt me a little bit is the Duja transfer, mainly because every single outlet out there and journalists were confirming that the move was going to happen. Well, not that it was going to happen, but like that Liverpool were really advanced in talks. And I was very excited because he's left-footed, which we don't have a left foot until Konate arrived. Defender, he's tall, 6'4", which is the same as Van Dijk. And I love watching him. So this seemed like the perfect move, and this seemed like the perfect type of player that was going to come in. The move just collapsed. So with Konate now involved, I just really doubt that I'm pretty sure that Liverpool I'm pretty sure that Liverpool are still scouting him because they will need a replacement when Joel Matty leaves. And so I think they're going to keep an eye on him and also Sven Bodman. So that's the first one that really caught my eye. And the second one, really, I think it has to be Donian Malen from PSV. So I don't know why we are not getting new links on him, but he just seems like the perfect type of player that we can get. He's versatile. He's a striker, a winger. He's quick. And that's the type of player that we really needed. And I was reading that most of the sources that were linking us with a move for him were actually really reliable. So the fact that it suddenly disappeared, it really cuts my eye. And those are two positions that we really need to strengthen, just a winger and a striker. So those are the two main ones for the season that I think are the ones that are rumbling around.
Kaletakar obviously played against England today, and he got manhandled by John Stones. So I'm not convinced after today. Absolutely not. Matty?
I'd love Daniel Malen. Love him. I think he's fantastic, and I do think he's a Liverpool type player in a sense of Liverpool don't go and buy household names really. They'll go and buy someone and make them a household name when you think of some of the players Klopp's bought. So I do think that's what people are talking like Sancho and Haaland, and I'd love it. But I do think someone like Daniel Malen coming in would be mega because Klopp would then turn him into a superstar, in my opinion.
And I'd really never watched him play, and then until we got linked with him, so I started watching videos and clips and all this stuff, and I was like, holy crap, this guy is amazing. Obviously, he is the Dutch league, but I mean, he's just incredible. I was like, why did Arsenal let him go? Keep him. But he's really good. But mainly what I really like about is the fact that he can play on anywhere in the front line. It's exactly what we need now.
I'd love to go and raid the Dutch league for Gravenberch as well. The ideal window for me would be Gravenberch and Malen. I know they're both in the Dutch league, but I do think the two of them would grow massively at Liverpool.
Also, the right back that can play center midfielder. What's his name? Masarawi, something like that.
Yeah,
he's amazing as well, and he can play. I think he's playing in the midfield now, but he's also a right back. I mean, they have so many good players in Ajax. I don't know. They have really good talents over there, so I think it's a really good move that we should totally look for.
To be fair, obviously, I'm be supporting England, obviously, for the Euros. I can't wait until we finally win a tournament. But you know, I'm actually really looking forward to watching the Dutch, if I'm honest. And even with Gini obviously leaving, I still feel that he's part of Liverpool. So you know, I think Holland have a really good squad, and you're absolutely right. They've got some really good potential. I'm really looking forward to seeing Gravenberch tonight, and I think that should he live up to the hype, if we don't snap him up or somebody snaps him up soon, he's going to be worth a lot of money in a couple of seasons.
Gravenberch for me is the player everyone talks that Paul Pogba is like, but he actually is like that. So where everyone puts this big Paul Pogba can do this, Paul Pogba can do that, and you never really see it. Gravenberch can do it. He's so good, so good.
Netherlands are just like their talent is just incredible. I mean, I was talking with my stepbrother last night, and we were talking about how they're missing Virgil van Dijk, and then we're like, oh, but it's okay because they have yeah. But then he was like, oh, wait a second, look, it looks like the Vriek got injured, the guy from. Yeah. And then I was like, oh wow, so what are they gonna do now? And they were like, oh wait, they have Bodman and De Ligt. Like, look at all these players, like top talent. So yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely one of the favorites, even without Van Dijk and De Vrij. I'm definitely going to be supporting them. I'm sorry, guys, but I think I want them to win.
I'm not supporting England myself. Don't like England. I'm Scotland.
Oh, I just want Gini to win something. I just feel bad that after he left us, because I feel like something happened within the team. He's been coming up with these claims saying like, I got a treatment that none other player got before, this and that. So I just want something good to happen to him.
I think the owners have really upset Gini.
But like what? Like how? Like, I mean, the thing is, like, the only thing that can happen is just they like not offer him what he wants. But it seems like it's something else, because he clearly says that it's something that nobody has.
You can half understand his frustration though, because we keep giving James Milner contracts. Why is Gini Wijnaldum not getting offered?
Well, Ox also got an extension when he was injured for that year as well. So he got a year's extension as well. So, and
this
Genie,
contract he's on is the one he signed, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It is. It's exactly the same one, and you're spot on. And yeah, you're right. I think his wage is something like £80,000 a week, or was at Liverpool, and he's now gone on to PSG and he's on mega money. But he always said it wasn't about the money, and the reason why he didn't go to Barcelona was because that they weren't decisive enough. And for me, when I read that, I was like, well, Barcelona took too long. PSG wanted him and they got him. I don't know what happened at Liverpool. The impression that I got right now is he just wants to feel wanted. And that's why I went to PSG, because Poch phoned him up a few times because they had a deal ready for him where Barcelona didn't. So for me, something must have happened, like you said, with the owners or with the club. I can't see it being with Jurgen Klopp. I don't think this falls on his doorstep.
No.
So yeah, I just get the feeling that he wants to feel wanted, and PSG wanted him.
I'm excited for the quotes to come out and see what really happened, because I was also reading that he said that he's like, the issue is not with the staff. I love the staff. I already said my goodbyes. So if it's not with the staff, it's not with the club, I mean, with the fans, like, what is it? So I'm really intrigued.
It's got to be FSG, hasn't it? Has to be.
At this point, is really the only thing, unless he doesn't include Jurgen Klopp within the staff, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Just a really quick one, and there's very paper thin links. Watching Italy the other night, Barella is some player as well, and obviously now we're going to be linked, or everyone's going to be linked to Barella. But a couple of months ago, we were actually linked to him, and I don't watch too much Serie A, but watching Italy the other day, he pulled all of the strings all over the pitch. He was phenomenal. So another one really to keep our eyes on, and. I thought it was brilliant. So yeah, well done, Barella.
Oh, Nicola Barella is, and then that's the one player that we keep track on, because we've been wanting him for years now. And we were discussing, we were like, so what other type of player that has all these traits combined into one, other than Florian Neuhaus and Rodrigo Depart is out there? And Barella is the perfect player. I mean, he has it all. So he's one of those that could really come into Liverpool and just completely change our side. I remember when he was back at Cagliari, he was being deployed in the same position, but sometimes he was also being deployed as a number 10. He doesn't play as a number 10 now for some reason, but he has all the qualities to be a number 10. So, I mean, he has it all. I really, really desperately want Barella. He's incredible. Yeah.
He's the only one who stood out to me watching that game. I think, like, from the whole two teams, I remember, I think it was about 25 minutes in, I was like, who's that? I can't remember what number he is now. And then when the camera went on the back, I was like, oh, here. Like, I started looking at him then. But he's the only one in that whole game that stood out for me. And I suppose that's what the Euros is good for, isn't it? To see talent before it moves. I put James Rodriguez got his move to Real Madrid off the back of a World Cup. So see what happens with the Euros.
And there definitely is no title for Inter Milan without Barella, because obviously their front line is amazing. The connector in the middle is him. I mean, I feel like they could do well without Brozovic or anybody in the back line, but just Barella is so integral to that team that we need someone like that in our side. And his contract runs out. I'm trying to look it up right now. His contract runs out in 2024, so he's going to come really expensive if we try to get him.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, that is all we have time for this week's podcast of The Room, brought to you by LFC Transfer Room. Thank you so much for joining us, Dan, and we hope that Scotland have a great European Championship.
I wrote in that England have a great European Championship, but yeah, fine. But yeah, we'll be releasing the second part of the really well-received Dan K podcast that came out last week. We'll be releasing part 2 later this week, as well as an upcoming pod which features CBS reporter Luis Miguel Echegaray, which we have scheduled for next week, so keep your eye out for that one.
Perfect.
Thank you, boys.
Until then, stay safe, take care, and from everyone here at The Room, up the Reds.
Up the Reds.